Welcome to part 3 of my Mario Kart 8 Deluxe track reviews. Now that we have covered the 32 tracks from the base Wii U game, we have other things to cover. Released as DLC in 2015 and just bundled in for free in the Deluxe version, Mario Kart 8 received an additional 4 cups with 16 tracks total, which brought the total of tracks in the base game to 48 tracks. And today, I'll be reviewing all 16 tracks from said DLC. Now again, like with the previous 2 parts, these track reviews are just my opinion and my personal preference with these tracks. If you disagree with any of my thoughts, then that's fine. Anyways, let's begin. Kicking off this Wii U DLC is the Egg Cup. And starting off this cup is GCN Yoshi Circuit. This is an amazing remake, and it was definitely nice to see as we haven't seen this track since Mario Kart DS. The music is great, and the layout is amazing as it is shaped like a Yoshi. You can't go wrong with that. All in all, a great start from the Egg Cup without a doubt. It is in my top 10 favorite tracks for sure. 9.5 out of 10. Never thought Excitebike would get some attention. But in all seriousness though, Excitebike Arena is cool to see, but it's just one giant loop with trickable ramps. But the coolest part though is that in each lap, the ramp layouts of the track change. That's definitely a cool feature. And the music is a nice Excitebike-esque piece. Not much to say other than I like how Excitebike is getting some attention. But it's still pretty flat. 7 out of 10. Dragon Driftway is next, and it is definitely an interesting looking track. I love how it's a Chinese setting with Gobblegut, while the boss battles from Mario Galaxy 2 as the main attraction. Never thought Nintendo would ever reference Mario Galaxy 2 again after what they're trying to do with it currently. The music is also quite nice as well, and all in all, not much to say other than it's a nice track, and it's nice to see Mario Galaxy 2 getting some attention for once. 7 out of 10. And the final track of the Egg Cup is the first of the 2 F-Zero tracks, Mute City. This is definitely a very cool looking track. Though a lot of the time, especially at the lower classes, it's kind of fake speed. However, these 2 F-Zero tracks were definitely made for 200cc. Anyways, Mute City I'd say is the more superior of the 2 F-Zero tracks in this game. And is definitely a really good way to end off the Egg Cup. 8 out of 10. Kicking off the Crossing Cup is GCN Baby Park. This was definitely an interesting pick to come back from Double Dash. And like Yoshi Circuit, it was just nice to see again after its last appearance in Mario Kart DS. The one unique thing I could say about it is that it's the only track in this game that has 7 laps instead of 3 laps. And I do like how the music picks up the pace with each lap. But if you have loads of real players, it's just a chaotic mess. All in all, this track is definitely a mixed bag. I'd say it gets 6.5 out of 10. Next up is GBH Cheeseland. Good lord. Once again, this track feels nothing like the original counterpart. But I'm okay with that as it's from the Game Boy Advance. Anyways, while I'm usually not the biggest fan of most desert tracks, I could give this remake a pass. Sure, the turns can be difficult, especially on 200cc, but who doesn't love a bit of a challenge, right? And I really love the remixed music with them jazzy saxophones. That's a very nice touch. All in all, not much to say other than it's by far my second favorite GBA remake in this game. 7 out of 10. Up next is Wild Woods. Good lord, this is one of the best uses of anti-gravity in the whole game, right next to Shy Guy Falls. The fact that you're going up a giant tree is insane! Whoever at Nintendo came up with the idea of this track deserves all the credit, as this is definitely a top 30 track for sure. Not much to say other than it's great. 8 out of 10. And the last track of this cup, to no one's surprise, is the Animal Crossing theme track. Once again, I never expected a track based off of Animal Crossing of all franchises. Makes me want tracks based off of other franchises that aren't Nintendo. Hint, hint. Anyway, by far the best element of this track is the fact that every so often, the track changes its seasonal cosmetics based on the 4 seasons, which are of course winter, spring, summer, and autumn. I don't know which cosmetic I like the most out of the 4, but I'm probably gonna have to go with the spring cosmetic. Just my opinion though. All in all, a great track that stays faithful to the Animal Crossing series. 8 out of 10. Next is the Triforce Cup. Don't even get me started on my experience with this on 200cc. It was painful to say the least. But enough of 200cc. We're focusing on the tracks. And starting off this cup is Wario's Gold Mine from Mario Kart Wii. Surprisingly, this was the only remake of a Wii track in the original Wii U DLC. And this is also the last Wii track remake of the base game, as all the Wii track remakes from here on out will be from the Booster Course Pass. Anyway, Wario's Gold Mine is another instant classic. I love the giant ups and downs of the track, though I'm not too keen on the minecart section being an anti-gravity, as in the original, the minecarts will cause you to spin out. That's not the case in this remake. Regardless, still a cool Wii track to bring back in Mario Kart 8. 7 out of 10. Like I said before, I've never been too keen on SNES Rainbow Road, but when this track was brought back in Mario Kart 7, it got a substantial upgrade. And when brought back in this game, my god, this track has never looked so good in this game. The remixed music is an absolute bop, and the wavy roads from 7's remake are still here. And the atmosphere is amazing. Sure, it's not as amazing as N64 Rainbow Road's remake, but it's still a very nice remake. And the same can be said about Mario Kart 7's remake as well. 8 out of 10. Next up is Ice Ice Outpost. I don't know what it is about this track, but it reminds me of Alterna from Splatoon 3, which is kind of interesting because Splatoon 3 would come out 5 years after this game, and even its predecessor Splatoon 2. Anyways, this track is actually quite similar to Electrodrome in the fact it has 2 branching paths. The only difference being that Electrodrome takes place in a nightclub, whereas this track takes place in Arctic Research Base, which is such a cool setting for a Mario Kart track. I even like the little shortcuts you can take on this track as well, but my only gripe with this track is that the turns in the end can be really difficult, especially if you're racing at 200cc. I couldn't stand doing this track on 200cc. But outside of that, this is quite a fun track. 7 out of 10. I never would have thought in the many years of playing Mario Kart that Zelda would get a track of its own kind in the form of the final track of the Triforce Cup, Hyrule Circuit. Now, I have never played any of the Zelda games ever, but this track definitely gives me a good enough vision of what the Legend of Zelda games are. From the item roulette sound based on the Zelda sounds, to the giant sword in the center of the staircase area, to the Dekubabas taking on the role of piranha plants to try and fight you towards the end of the race, to the coins being replaced with rubies. All in all, another very cool looking crossover track that stays faithful to the original source material. 7 out of 10. And the final cup of the Wii U DLC and the base game as a whole is the Bell Cup. And kicking off the cup is the last 3DS remake in the base game, Neo Bowser City. Or as us Brits call it, Koopa City. Doesn't have the same ring as Neo Bowser City. Anyways, I really do like this track. I love how tight you have to make the turns, and also after a while, the guardrails will be gone, which is a cool element. I also love how it's pouring rain the entire time. Yes, we've had it before with Luigi Circuit from Super Circuit from the Game Boy Advance, but that track's not in this game, sorry to say. Speaking of tracks that never made it, originally, the track that was going to be in this place of this one was Shy Guy Bazaar. Would have preferred Shy Guy Bazaar over this one, but we get what we're given, I suppose. Nonetheless, still a very cool looking track. 7 out of 10. Ribbon Road is amazing. It is hands down the best GBA remake in the entirety of Mario Kart 8. Everything about it makes this one a blast to race on. From the music, to the Toy Story-esque elements like the clown cars coming out of a Jack-in-the-Box, it does so much to feel nothing like the original. Which, again, I am 100% okay with it, as it's from the Game Boy Advance. And it's aged pretty weakly, if I'm honest. Overall, Ribbon Road is by far the best GBA remake in the entire game as a whole, with Cheeseland coming in at a close second. Definitely a top 30 track without a doubt. 8 out of 10. Next is Super Bell Subway. This track is definitely a fascinating one to race on, as it takes place in a subway station. Now, I've not been on that many subways in the past, but it's definitely cool to see when implemented into Mario Kart 8 somehow, and it could definitely be tricky with the subway trades as well in certain parts. Not much to say, and it's just a pretty solid track. 7 out of 10. And the final track of the Triforce Cup and the base game as a whole is Big Blue, the second F-Zero track in this game. Now, look, there is absolutely nothing wrong with this track as a whole. In fact, I still think it's very solid. But I feel like it takes almost too much inspiration from F-Zero. A lot of the time it's just fake speed, and in some cases, you can just make up your own shortcuts as you race along. Now, this track, along with Mute City, are perfect for 200cc as you're going at the speeds of what the F-Zero races would go at. But anything outside of 200cc is just painfully slow. It just has that F-Zero feel when you go super fast, but it's just dead straight with not a lot of turns. All in all, it's still a solid way to end off this cup and the base game as a whole, but I expected just a little bit more from this track. It's 7 out of 10 from me. And we have officially covered all of the tracks from the Mario Kart 8 base game. Next time, we're on to the booster course pass, baby. and you have no idea how long I waited to get to those. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next part. See you guys.